An interesting point coming back a little bit about people doing things with their hands, and also Francis brought up people not having kids. I remember reading a long time ago a book by, I think he was a primatologist, so he studied apes, called Desmond Morris, and he wrote a book called The Human Zoo. And his basically central argument was when you put people into cities, they start behaving like animals in captivity. They have fewer kids, they get mentally distressed, they become lethargic. Basically, there's more interpersonal violence. Like if you put people in these conditions, you end up in a kind of very unhealthy place for human beings.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm John Soto. This is SotoCast. We're going to take a look today at a trigonometry segment. They're interviewing Adam Corolla, and there's just this one segment that I like to pick something in the middle somewhere that maybe not everybody has seen because people don't have time to watch hour and a half long podcast ad nauseum. So take a listen to this segment. He's starting to get into like some of the reasoning behind like how mentally we are or how mental we are in society. See what you think, and then we'll comment and interject along the way.
Do you think we're seeing that play out now?
And if you can, I know I have a lot of new listeners here. Thank you very much. Subscribe. That's great. If you're already subscribed, share it with a friend. See if they like it, then they can subscribe and kind of keep the whole thing going. That's kind of how we do these things.
The species. So, we understand chimps and we understand seals and whales and whatever, and you take the killer whale who's supposed to be combing the oceans, hunting, and you put him at SeaWorld and he swims in a circle and his dorsal fin falls over because he's depressed. You know what I mean? Right. And then we kind of get it. We go, well, yeah, he's a majestic creature supposed to be swimming the world's oceans, hunting seal. And there he is going in a circle, and there's a lesbian feeding trout every day at noon, and he's depressed. Yeah, I'm assuming she's a lesbian. I didn't see a ring on her finger. All right, the point is, well, she was wearing a glove, so maybe I'm being unkind. But the whole point is that's not what they're meant to do. They're meant to be in the open sea, and we get it with elephants at the zoo. These people, the people that are protesting who want the elephants removed from the zoo because that's not their habitat. They need to roam. They're getting depressed. They're walking in a circle. They're getting psoriasis on their skin. They're depressed. These are the same people that want us to have 15-minute cities and live on top of each other and all eat in some communal slop house.
And that was one of the, when I heard that kind of hit, it was just, wow. I mean, that is something I never really thought about it like that, but obviously it's very true. I mean, there's no, we're not ants. We're not, we're not termites. We're complicated. We're a complicated mammal that needs space, that needs to be outside, that needs to have the sun and all these things. And, I currently, live about an hour away from the city. I should be moving much further shortly to much greener pastures, but that is something that a lot of people are lacking, and it's no wonder why when you look at the depression rate and just being on phones all day and computers all day and we're inside these boxes all day, and it definitely takes a toll on, I think, most people.
They're not the ones who want acreage and land and space and all the stuff we as a species need, so they see it with the elephants and they see it with the whales, and they would all protest to set them free, and then they'd want us to get back on our public transportation and go back to our single flats in the middle of a crime-ridden city. So that's what they think for us as species. And what I'm saying is this is an experiment, and people, I think, got the social media part of it. They go, we don't know how this is going to affect kids long-term on their phone. We're not meant to read stories about ourselves or doom scroll all day. I would argue we're not meant to be indoors sitting in air conditioning looking at our phone. Forget about the phone. We're not supposed to be we're supposed to be out, swinging an axe, tilting up a barn, on our feet, moving, sweating, communing with nature, like building something. We're not supposed to be in here crunching data all day. And I do think there's I also think there's an inability to think because of that. And bigger picture, we don't have a relationship with danger that we used to have, which is a super important quality to have and needs to be sort of bestowed on every future generation, which is, when the dad takes the son out to, shoe the horse or deal with the livestock, or you don't want to get kicked in the head by a donkey. You don't come up behind the donkey and slap it on the ass, And when you go, I'm a carpenter, so I work with tools all the time. Every tool does something different and sort of poses its own threat or sense of danger, but you have to kind of respect it and you have to kind of know what it does, because if you don't, it'll bite you. Like it'll screw with you. You'll lose a finger, you'll get injured, you know? So we used to sort of go.
Again, another fantastic point. So I started woodworking probably around 6 or 7 years ago. But, you know, I mean, I do a lot of shooting. I do have, you know, some small livestock and stuff like that. And everything he's saying is absolutely true. You know, our connection to the things that can bite you, you know, because sitting in front of a computer, which is what the vast majority of almost all children and adults do all day long, sitting in front of a screen, that doesn't have that. So the question then becomes, is there an evolutionary thing happening here? Are you know, it's not necessary. Maybe it's not necessary anymore. But I know for a fact, like when I first started woodworking, there's a couple of tools that they scare you, and they should. You know, when I upgraded to a much bigger table saw, a lot more power, it's good and bad, right? It can cut the wood a lot easier, but it also kicks back a hell of a lot harder. And if you're not doing things the proper way, you can get really hurt. I mean, never mind just missing a finger. You can get kickback, and it'll that piece of wood will knock you unconscious. It'll, you know, take an eye out. And those are just things that you just learn to have respect for your environment, and you pass that down. Like the kids, you know, my kids, they understand not just the blades that are dangerous, but there are things that just look completely benign and will take you out. And that's another factor about these big cities where, you know, I mean, to contradict that now, a lot of people in big cities, they do become very well aware of a bunch of homeless people and crackheads running around, right? You're starting to become super aware of that. Like you're not standing on the edge of the platform anymore. I mean, some people are. I still cannot believe how completely oblivious many people are just in the day-to-day lives when it comes to these lunatics that are out in the city. But yeah, it's maybe that's a product of like everyone living on top of each other.
Go through every day going, I need to use this tool. I got to fire it up. It could bite me, but I'm going to stand where I need to stand. I'm going to do what I need to do. And you just sort of learn these things. And then when something like COVID comes around, you're calibrated. So you go, all right, what are the dangers? Because what we're not going to do is shut everything down and stay at home. We are going to deal with this danger, but we're going to do it in a way like you're going to do in the shop. It's not like we're not going to use the bandsaw. We're going to use the bandsaw, but we're going to use it in a way that is safe, or as safe as we can make it. But the answer isn't don't use the bandsaw, because we got to chop up this log, you know? So we lost our relationship with danger. And I see it all the time. And then you hear these Dumbo mayors of cities going, if we lose one person to COVID, you know, it's like, we're going to lose a lot of people to COVID, idiot. You can't shut all the schools. You can't shut all the businesses. You can't shut all the churches. Yeah, we're going to lose one. We're going to lose one more. We're making these weird safety kind of feminine driven mom proclamations about if one child is like, it's retarded. And it's because they've been indoors breathing air conditioning too long. All the guys I work blue collar jobs with and my like sort of blue collar crew, they had no thoughts about COVID. They just got up and went to work. All the white collar guys were all the pussies when it came to COVID, and they got it all wrong because they were scared because they don't have a relationship with danger.
I love the way the word.
Yep, that is a fantastic point, and so true. So if you have sons or daughters, you know, try to get their hands dirty, get them out of the house, touch grass, get into the sun, roll around, you know, pick up some worms. It's very simple stuff, guys. It's very simple, very low grade, very low tech. You just go outside, and whatever's there, you play with it. Dirt, grass. You know, like the only rule that I have when it comes to the boys is just if you find poop, you could just leave that alone. Like, we have massive dogs, so that's about it. Everything else is fair game. Everything else is fair game. You know, I mean, just to see the kids out running around outside, no shoes on, and again, you know, I'm fortunate because I've put in a lot of time and effort to get to this place where I am, where I do have a good plot of land and they can go out and they can touch grass and they can go out into the sun. I mean, if you're in an urban environment, there are ways that you can do that. It's just a lot more difficult. So the question remains, what is important to you as a parent, as a person? And it was important to me because initially we were in the city because that's where the money is. It's in the city. And we saved up as much as we could to get out of the city and at least move to a place where we could have a patch of grass. And that I think should be, that's kind of what the American dream was about. You work hard, you rent a little place, you meet someone you like, you have kids, and then you move to a nice little house. It's very hard to do that now. When it comes to housing, inflation, a crazy amount of issues that we're having right now. I do have a lot of thoughts on how to fix it. I think just with housing alone, I don't know how this would work. I mean, just one simple thing that I thought about would be, and let me know what you guys think. Why can't a standard mortgage be 10% down? Something to that effect. I don't get why we have these strict adherence to certain numbers. Like I know a FHA loan, minimum 3.5 to put down. That's pretty good, but then you got to pay PMI. So you're kind of giving the person a benefit, but now on top of that, you're also making them pay more monthly. So that's not great because they didn't have the down payment to begin with. So now you're going to charge them more. But yeah, like the 50-year mortgage is just dumb. But something, I feel like there have to be answers here for this. I mean, obviously the prices are inflated and all this stuff, but I just like brainstorming with guys when it comes to things like this. Like there has to be things that we can do to make this American dream and to promote families again. I don't know. I think I personally, or one big thing would be if you live in your residence. Like I think this should be almost like a federal law. Like your primary residence where you and your family live there should be no property tax. Period. Should be no property tax. I mean, if the state wants to tax my state taxes my income, and they give me property taxes. So I basically never own my home. My property taxes where I am now, almost 20 grand a year. I would never own this home. I'm not going to stay here. But if I were to stay here and I end up, paying off my mortgage at some point in time, I mean, it goes up almost $1,000 a year. We've been here for, 10 years. So that would be one thing. I there are ideas out there. There are things that we can do to fix this kind of stuff and get people out of the rat race that is city life. It's definitely not good for you. It's something that maybe you might have to do for an extended period of time because that's where the money is and that's where your employer may be and stuff like that. But in the end, guys, you really, especially once you start having children, as a young man and single, it's kind of cool. You run around, you do all that stuff. It's nice. But when it's time to move on, it is time to move on. And let me tell you something. You do not. I mean, some people like it. They say they like it. I don't know how. I don't know how for my kids to play. I have to take them down an elevator. Go cross the street and find a park somewhere. I just open my door. And I say, go outside. Take the dogs out. And that's it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I know I went a little bit off tangent here. 6283talk on the X if you want to follow me on the X. I have a bunch of new subscribers now. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. We're trying to grow this as nicely as I can. So if you're already subscribed and you want to share the video, great. If you want to give it a thumbs up, that's fantastic. But still need a lot more subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. I will see you again on the next video, guys. Take care.